You coming down? What are you doing? Cat. What are you doing? Yeah, now you gotta get down. Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We're having a lot of fun. Stitch has a new hobby, climbing trees. I'm going to update you on the serial killer Border Patrol case, day 3. Yes, the interrogation has started. Stay tuned. Crafting journey. Hear that journey chick over on Instagram and on my new YouTube channel, The Leftovers. The link to that channel is down in the description. I've got on today a yellow scarf that I crocheted a couple of years ago. It has this really, let me take this off for a second. I don't know if I can get it up close, but I did this really cool yellow edge to it. You know, a kind of a, I don't know what you call that yarn. It's like a fringe yarn. It's really cute. Anyway, that's my yellow scarf, and it's nice and warm because baby, it's cold outside. I must go away, baby, it's cold outside. This is much better than what I was singing last night in my live, which was the duck song. So I'm back to, I didn't get the watercolors out last night. I know, you guys. So, I hear it. I need to get those out. My sister and I went out for dinner, so that's why. And I was kind of late getting home because when you go to Cracker Barrel, you know, you have to visit the gift shop. See all things Christmas, right? So, we did that, and then, but I had fun on the live. Anyway. Crafting and Crime Daily. Welcome to another fun-filled episode. Well, I don't know if it'll be fun-filled, but it'll be informative. So I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. Today is December 1st. Yes, Christmas is only 24 days away. Woohoo! I haven't decorated the tree yet. Oh my gosh. And we haven't even put one up in the house. But we will. Now I'm going to have that song in my head all day, which is better than the song I was listening to this morning on my way back home from the post office. I listened to this classic rock station. My sister has it on in the car. And that, I don't know if you, I'm going to date myself here. There's a song called Bicycle. Bicycle, bicycle, I want to ride my bicycle. I'm like, boy, we listened to some really weird music in my day. Okay, anyway, I digress. So let's talk about the Border Patrol serial killer. Now, I'm just going to back up a few steps for this case and put this thing into context. This Border Patrol agency, wow. During the year 2018, there were 3 different Border Patrol agents that got into trouble. One who killed his girlfriend and her child. Another who killed a migrant coming across the border. And then we have Juan David Ortiz, who was trying to clean the streets of prostitutes, apparently, and killed 4 prostitutes. And almost killed another one, a 5th one. She got away, and that's how they caught him. With his service revolver. He killed these women. What? So the Border Patrol covers 136 miles of coastline, and it's a huge agency. The Laredo area is of the Border Patrol is huge. A large number of people there, and people want to point out, well, most of us are good. Okay, but there's a huge lack of trust with these Border Patrol agents now. Huge. Just thought I'd add that little flavor into there. So yesterday, day 3 of the trial, and they brought the lead detective, the lead investigating officer, back onto the stand, and he walked them through how they get the tape, how they film the interrogation, how they get the tape, the software that they use for it, and how the software just automatically divides it up and puts it onto discs. This particular 10-hour interrogation that started at 3:30 in the morning, after they chased him for 2.5 hours in a parking lot. They started out at a convenience store. He ran. They chased him through the streets. He runs into a parking garage, and 2.5 hours later, they apprehend him hiding on the 4th floor of the parking garage in the back of a pickup truck. In the bed of a pickup truck. I need a drink. Yes, I went to Sonic this morning. This is not sponsored by Sonic. I don't have sponsors, but if it were, this would be like peach. I was so thirsty this morning. This weather has me so thirsty. So peach slush. No coffee today. Anyway, you're like, but it's cold outside. You should be drinking hot coffee. No, peach slushy. It's one of those drinks that give you those headaches that you get right here, and you just want to go, anyway. So back to the Border Patrol agent, Juan David Ortiz. So they bring him down. They finally capture him. Now, he's had a very eventful evening. Now, he spent the evening with Erica Pena, takes her to buy drugs, takes her to his house so they can have sex. She does her little heroin fix, and then he starts talking about the other murders. She gets a clue, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta get out of here. Can you take me home?" And he's like, "I think you just need to eat," because she was nauseous. And so he takes her to buy a hamburger, parks in back of this hamburger joint, takes his gun out, and starts threatening her with a gun. She somehow there's a struggle. He rips her shirt off. She gets away. She notifies authorities, and now they're looking for him. Then that whole pursuit thing. So very long night for Mr. Ortiz. They drive him to the substation for the Webb County Police Department. Now, the venue is not in Webb County. They're not prosecuting in Webb County. There was a change of venue during the pretrial portion of this case, and they're actually prosecuting it in a different county. The judge did grant the change of venue, probably feeling like they're too small of a town, Webb County, to get an unbiased juror or somebody that hadn't heard of these murders by the Border Patrol agent. So in any case, this 10-hour interrogation commences about 3:30, and the software has divided this into 12 discs. 12. And they are showing every second of these 10 hours of interrogation. So yesterday, it's continuing today. So I'll get to finish watching yesterday's and watch the rest of today's. But we first, there's, a sidebar. Then we find out that, did you know? I did not know. There's a third language spoken in Texas. There's Mexican, there's English, and then there's Tex-Mex. Who knew? So they talk about getting a Tex-Mex interpreter. And they have to wait for the Tex-Mex interpreter because some of this interrogation is in Tex-Mex. And the jurors might not understand the Tex-Mex language. And I'm thinking, oh my God, are you kidding me? They already have a translation that they were going to photocopy and give to the jurors so that they could look at the translation. But they had to wait for the interpreter. So meanwhile, the court reporter's like, excuse me, sir, am I supposed to be getting all this down? Like, am I going to be doing the interpretation and the video and the interrogation and the blah, blah, blah? And the judge's like, oh, no. We already have the transcript of the entire interrogation. We have it translated. Stand down. You're okay. Everything's going to be all right. Poor thing. She's like, oh, my fingers are flying. So then we had to wait for the interpreter. So they're waiting. Finally, he comes. And so the first thing we see is Ortiz sitting in this room. And it's funny because the interpreter was sitting there interpreting, and I didn't hear much that wasn't in English, except for every now and then he would go, see, and the interpreter would go, yes, see, yes, see, yes. I'm like, I think we all know that see is yes, but I guess I had to get that on the record. So, interesting. If there were other words that were Tex-Mex, I didn't catch them, and there could have been. I don't know. But I was getting a flavor for what happened. So the initial interrogation, he's just sitting there in the room by himself for, oh my gosh, a good 20, 30 minutes. We're just watching this guy sit there. And you can see he's really tired. He's had a very long night. And behind him is an open door, and you see officers passing back and forth, and there's officers standing outside the door talking. And at one point there was some troopers standing outside, because there were initially the troopers are who he ran from. And he looks out there and he goes, hey, you need to get your troopers in shape, man. I outran them. They couldn't catch me. And he's laughing like it was some big joke. They're out of shape. He was very proud of the fact that he outran these troopers. So they start the interrogation, and he claims he doesn't know why he's there. I don't know why you're there. Listen, I went into the convenience store because I had to use the restroom. I come out and I see this trooper at the gas pumps with an assault rifle pointed at me. He's like, I had no idea what was going on. Just playing the whole innocent thing. First, even before that, he's asked, do you know why you're here? No, I don't know why I'm here. He's at some point he starts talking about his education, how he has this degree and that degree and blah, 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 whatever. And then he's like, hey, my wife is traveling back from San Antonio. She had gone over to San Antonio for the day with his kids. And he had spoken to her at some point during all of this ruckus, or maybe before the ruckus started. And she was heading back from San Antonio. She was on her way back. And he's like, can you guys stop her? Just put out a bolo. Here's her description of her vehicle. Can you just stop her and tell her to go back to San Antonio? I don't want her to come here. Because they're telling him, hey, we're going to search your house. And he's like, here, I'm going to give you a key. Don't break down the door. Just use the key. Just go in my house and use the key. Don't break down any doors. And he's telling them what weapons he has at his house. He's got an assault rifle. He's got a 40 caliber. He's got all these weapons because he's a police officer. And I guess police officer has a weapon. I was married to a police officer. His service revolver was kept, I think, on the dresser, on top of his dresser. But all of his other weapons were kept in a safe when he didn't need them And he was never issued an assault rifle. Never. No. That's crazy. So the fact that these troopers were running around with assault rifles is just still ingrained in my head, and I just can't get past it, but I will. Honestly. All right. So then, what else happens during this initial part of the interrogation? I'm trying to think what else he was talking about. It was mostly they were just like chumming with him, trying to gain his trust, and at one point the officer leaves to see if he can get somebody to stop the wife and turn her around, go back to San Antonio. And so one of the officers, there were two officers that were investigating, and one of the officers says to him, "Do you ever have blackouts?" And he's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, I have that, blackouts, yeah." So then he starts telling him how, he had this great marriage, and it was a great marriage. And he, back in February, because we're in September now. No, August, September. Yeah, we're in September. He's like, "Oh yeah, back in February, I was really, really depressed, and I went to the VA, and they really screwed with my head, and they put me on Paxil and all these other drugs, and it's really, it really messed me up. I have PTSD, and I have this, and I have that." And so at this point, he was making all these excuses, but we still don't know. He still has no idea why he's there, apparently. So the portion that I watched, they did not actually get to the meat of, hey. They did ask him at one point, they're like, "We found all these strange things in your car. Like, you had a pink purse in there. That's not yours. I mean, surely that's not yours." And he's like, "No, I don't have a pink purse." And they're like, "Well, whose pink purse is that?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't know there was a pink purse in my car." Well, Erica had left her pink purse in his car when she, had to struggle and jumped out. So, and there were some other purses in his car too, not just the pink purse. There were other purses. So, really, some incriminating evidence there. He's like, "No, not mine, not mine." Anyway, so I'm going to watch the rest of these tapes today and see where it takes us, because it's going to lead to a confession by the end of this 10 hours, I'm sure. Well, in fact, what we think is a false confession, because God, at the 10 hours later, that would have been like 1 PM the following day, and I'm sure he was exhausted, worn down. He had that big chase he participated in it. I'm sure he's really tired. Driving prostitutes all over town, buying them drugs. It's exhausting work. If they're like, "Why were you at that Quick Trip?" Or I call it Quick Trip because that's what we call the convenience stores around here. It's called something else there. So, "Why were you at that convenience store?" And he's like, "Well, I had to go to the bathroom." Like, so wait a minute, you left your house because he was saying he'd been home all afternoon. Well, why'd you leave your house? And he didn't have a really good answer. Why would you leave your house and travel 25 minutes away to go to the bathroom at a convenience store? And I'm thinking, that's a good question. I don't know. So he didn't have a really good explanation for that. Oh, anyway. So what else is going on? So yesterday, over in Missouri, which is like one state over, 2.5 hour drive that way, the state of Missouri yesterday put a prisoner to death penalty, carried out 7 o'clock, just after 7 p.m. last night, Central Time. Kevin Johnson was given a lethal injection of phenobarbital at his execution, which his daughter, his 19 or 20-year-old daughter, had petitioned to be present during his execution, and her petition was denied, because they have a law in the state of Missouri that you cannot watch an execution unless you are 21 years old, even if it's your father. So what this stemmed from was a 2005 murder of a Kirkwood, Missouri police officer. What happened was the police had responded to this neighborhood where Kevin Johnson lives, and they got a call that there were fireworks going off in that area. So they went there, and Kevin Johnson opens fire on these police officers. Well, that's not the whole story. So the whole story is earlier that day, Kevin Johnson's 12-year-old brother died as a result of a seizure when this same police officer came to his house that day to serve a warrant and arrest him for violation of his probation. And Kevin Johnson was very upset about his brother's death and was blaming this police officer for causing his brother's death, causing the seizure. I don't know. So when the officer shows up at his house later on that day from this firework call, he just opens fire and kills the officer. Now, there was a big controversy surrounding this death last night. There were several proponents who had filed motions saying that the only reason they were putting this guy to death, the only reason they were executing him, is because he was black. That it was entirely racially motivated, that, they don't put the white guys to death, they just put the black guys to death, which I don't know if that was ever completely vetted out, whether that's true or not. But what they were saying is that, all the way down to the selection of who, it's entirely up to the prosecution about who they going to go after for the death penalty. For example, in the Wagner cases, they were initially all going after, all being, tried for death penalty. They were all going to have a death penalty. The prosecution was going to ask for the death penalty as a sentence in all of their cases. But it was taken off the table because they cooperated. Jake and his mother, Angela, cooperated. So the prosecution has the discretion of when they will ask a jury to bring back the death penalty as a sentence. And it was this particular prosecutor in Missouri, who is no longer the prosecutor. He lost an election in 2018. He'd been there for a very, very long time, but then lost in 2018 and is no longer the lead prosecutor in this county. They said, under his guise, of the 5 murder cases, 4 involved black men, and all 5 got the death penalty. Only 1 was white. So 80% black, 20% white, with white victims. I don't know. Anyway, the Supreme Court of Missouri said, no, this family's waited long enough. We're not going to delay this anymore. And then it went to the Supreme Court of the United States, who also declined to stay the execution. And like I said, it was carried out last night. He had his priest next to him. He apologized to the family. He wasn't denying that he did it. He took responsibility for what he had done. His counsel claimed that he had been completely rehabilitated. He had a loving daughter, grandchild, blah, blah, blah. So, do I feel sorry for him? No, he killed a police officer. That's horrible, horrible. And, we have to trust the process. If the jury felt that, after listening to all of the evidence, that this warranted the death penalty, then okay. And this guy even said, he didn't really make a whole speech or anything, but he did say, I'll be with my baby brother, his 12-year-old brother. Yeah. So, interesting end to that case. Yeah. So, that is what I have for you today, Thursday, December 1st. Bicycle, bicycle. I like to ride my bicycle. Okay, guys, have a great Thursday. Tonight, instead of streaming Disney's Dreamlight Valley, well, I still might, but if I can figure out how to stream World of Warcraft, I'm going to explore the new Dragon Flight expansion. So that will be at 6:30 Central Time. So stay tuned. Come watch me stream some games. Yeah. No crime. Well, it's a crime that I'm doing it, but because I'm not the greatest at streaming, but it'll be fun. All right. Hope to see you there. If not, I'll see you tomorrow on Crafting and Crime Daily. Have a great day. Bye.